Hello everyone. This is a different topic for tonight, but today I'd like to share this remarkable book, The Millionaire Next Door by Drs. Thomas Stanley and Dr. William Danko. This is actually an old book, mind you. It's a classic published in 1996. But in my opinion, and the sentiments are similar if you go online, the findings in this book are truer and more applicable now in our highly consumerist society more than ever. The findings of the researchers can actually be summarized into 7 themes, and I'll mention the 7 themes for this video, but for today, I'll focus on the first theme, and perhaps for the succeeding videos, we can discuss the other remaining 6. So, the authors essentially surveyed, conducted focus group discussions to more than 500 millionaires in the United States in a span of a year, and their findings can be summarized into 7 key themes. The first is, majority of the millionaires lived well below their means. Second, they allocate their time, energy, and money efficiently in ways conducive to building wealth. The third is that the millionaires believe that financial independence is more important than displaying high social status. The fourth, majority of the millionaires actually did not provide economic outpatient care, meaning they did not provide inheritance or any financial support to their children. The fifth, their adult children are themselves economically self-sufficient. Hence, there's no need for the latter point. The sixth is that the millionaires are proficient in targeting market opportunities. And the last is they chose the right occupation. But for this video, I'd like to highlight the very first theme which emerged. And even I was taken slightly aback because many of the themes were not what you would expect. And especially in this day and age, when we think of the term millionaire or billionaire, we usually think of hundreds of luxury cars, yachts, private jets. We think of the monstrous garden bush of the palatial mansion of Jeff Bezos. We think of millionaires, rather billionaires, traveling to the moon. But actually, the findings of these researchers from 3 decades ago, and I think they are still truer now more than ever, is that our picture of these millionaires and billionaires is actually the outlier. We usually associate being wealthy with a windfall of money. And when we think of wealthy, we automatically associate the word with the literal wealthiest in the world. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and all of their extravagances and luxuries. But often we fail to realize that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are not the only rich people in the world. There are countless many others, and many of these are not as flamboyant, are not as ostentatious. Many of these, as the first theme discovered, live well below their means. And anyway, if you think about it, with the enormous net worth of Elon Musk, these luxuries will still not put a dent in his net worth anyway. But regardless, even if one is not as rich as Musk or Bezos, one, as the authors found, can still become a millionaire by living well below one's means. In fact, the chapter which summarized that theme is entitled Frugal, Frugal, Frugal. One of the key findings in this book, for example, is that one of the ethnic minorities in the United States where there is a high concentration of wealthy people are the Scots. And many of the Scots have an annual household income, at least during that time, of just around $100,000. This is way below what doctors, what lawyers, and other entrepreneurs in that same era in the United States earned. However, surprisingly, the Scots are ranked number 2. They are the second richest ethnic population in the United States 3 decades ago. And they still are in the present day. And the reason behind this, as the researchers found, is that many of the Scots, even if they already reach millionaire status, even if they are already considered wealthy, they still live way below their means. They did not change their neighborhood. They do not spend extravagantly on clothes, on their suits, on their ties, on their shoes. They spend money on cheap food, which are healthy nonetheless, not necessarily caviar or the finest wines. And fourth, they are able to inculcate the same kind of frugal mindset into their offspring. And mind you, many of the offspring of these rich Scots actually received no inheritance. Most of the money would actually just eventually go into charity. And as the first point also elaborates, there are many millionaires interviewed by the respondents who, in absolute figures, were actually earning less per year compared to doctors, compared to lawyers. For example, there was one example here. He was a shoe trader, a shoemaker and a shoe trader, who is a self-made millionaire. He's a first-generation millionaire. The reported average annual household income is $400,000. In contrast, there was another cohort interviewed person. He's a doctor, he's a physician. He is making 550,000 USD annually. So in absolute terms, pre-tax, the doctor makes more than the shoemaker slash shoe trader. However, what is surprising is that the researchers found that the former, the shoemaker slash trader, has a net worth being defined as one's assets, which include rental properties, the estimated valuation of one's business, of course, one's stored cash, one's savings, etc. So all of one's assets minus liabilities, that's net worth. They found that the net worth of the shoemaker slash shoe trader is $2 million. In contrast to the doctor who looks rich, spends rich, but his net worth is actually just 100,000 US dollars. Again, his net worth is just 100,000 US dollars. And the finding is because many people in the United States, if they have a high income, like doctors, like lawyers. White-collar professionals, what they earn, they also spend all of it. What they earn, they spend all or almost all of it. Number two, the authors found that certain professions, again, physicians, lawyers, excuse me, white-collar professionals, they belong in circles where appearances are judged and appraised highly. And so they spend a disproportionate amount of money in suits, in what they drive, in their watches. In contrast to the shoemaker slash shoe trader who is self-made and self-employed, he does not really need to impress anyone. And he doesn't. He just does his own thing. And so I think the highlight of this particular theme number one, which is millionaires, at least most of them, most millionaires live well below their means, is that often we put too much emphasis on what we earn, on income, and not enough emphasis on what we save and what we invest. We all remember the 50-30-20 rule in finance. Ideally, 50% of our pre-tax income should go into savings. Should go into our needs. 30% should go into our wants. And 20%, again, ideally, at least 20% of our pre-tax income should go into savings and investments. And investments can mean so many things. Of course, it can mean a business, but usually it can also just mean stocks, bonds, treasury bills, savings, of course, savings account. But the researchers found that many people who have high income actually just spend most, if not all of it, right away. Very little is spent as savings or even investments. In contrast, they are beat. They are outrun by other people who earn less, perhaps significantly less. But because these people, they do save, they do invest a lot, at least 20%, such that in the long run, they are the ones who emerge with the higher net worth. That's it for our session today. Thank you for watching. Again, something different for this evening. I'll see you again in our next video. Perhaps if a lot of people see this, we can tackle the rest of the contents of the book. Thank you, and I'll see you in our next.